Before I start, I'd just like to acknowledge the Gadigal of the Eora Nation, the traditional owners of the land we're meeting on, and that's particularly important, I think, in relation to this issue, because Aboriginal people here and internationally have faced a disproportionate burden of the impacts of the nuclear industry. My name is Dave Sweeney, like Gwen said. I work as a nuclear free campaigner with the Australian Conservation Foundation. And this is a big topic, a hot topic. I thank the committee for the opportunity. It's timely. It's good to share the platform also with Richard. Australia has a long history of involvement in the nuclear industry. Even in the most recent budget this week, there was a long overdue recognition of the human impact of the nuclear industry with the awarding of a gold card, medical access and support services to Aboriginal people affected by British nuclear testing. Now, as Yummy Lester, senior man and lawman of that area, said, it's 60 years too late and it shouldn't have happened anyway. But what it does show is it's important that there is some recognition that this is a continuing and an intergenerational impact, and it's part of a long history of impact with this industry in our country. Our main engagement in Australia in the nuclear industry has traditionally been at what we call the front end of the industrial chain, at the mining and export of uranium. Australia holds around 35% of the world's uranium resource, and we supply around 10% of the global market. Now that's down considerably. At the start of the century, we supplied over 20%. So, as Richard said, the nuclear industry globally is constrained, and the Australian role in supplying the fuel that makes it possible is shrinking. Now, there's been a long history of contest, with no surprise to people in this room, with this industry, with the issue of the mining and export of Australian uranium. There's been Aboriginal, environmental, trade union. There's been strong divisions and contests in industrial and political labour over this issue. There's been civil society groups, faith groups very strongly involved. The issue, wherever uranium mining has occurred, it's always been contested, and often that contest has been successful. At Jabiluka, at Angela Pamela, at Koongarra in the Northern Territory, we have won. There is uranium in the ground that was slated to be uranium in nuclear reactors. At Arkaroola and Moore in South Australia, at Queensland and in WA right now. And WA is the coalface of the uranium fight right now, because the election of the McGowan Labor government, they were elected on a clear platform of no uranium mining. And what is happening now is the Conservatives within WA Labor are trying to reinterpret that to say the 4 projects that exist are already ticketed and good to go, but we won't allow any more. In that sort of pale copy of the Federal Labor's old 3 named mines policy. We're making very clearly the case that none of them have full and final approval. None of them meet Labor's threshold. None of them could and should go ahead. So that is a real live policy and political debate and test in Australia right now. If you've got anyone in WA Labor or any influence or contacts in WA Labor, industrial or political, let them know that this is a terrible idea and to stand strong to their clear and long-standing policy. But I think what it shows is that this remains. This is not we're not here tonight having a retrospective look at a long-standing political issue. We're here tonight talking about an issue, be it international nuclear power, be it nuclear weapons and tensions, like Richard mentioned, be it uranium mining in this country or waste dumping in this country that's live and direct. Now, these are not good days for the uranium industry in Australia. Price, production, employment, returns, share value, all dramatically down. Don't take my word for it. IBIS World has rated the Australian uranium sector as employing less than 1,000 people and generating less than $700 million in sales. Not that great. The industry accounts for less than 0.01% of jobs, and in the 13-14 financial year accounted for less than 0.2 of 1%, 0.2 of 1% of export revenue. In short, it's a sector that has promised much and delivered little, except it has delivered above its weight in relation to fueling nuclear risks, radioactive waste, nuclear tension and uncertainty. And that was most starkly illustrated in 2011, as Richard pointed out, in Fukushima. It was Australian uranium confirmed in the Australian Parliament, Australian uranium not just sold to TEPCO, the corner-cutting Tokyo Electric Power Corporation, but actually in the reactor complexes that failed and melted down at the Fukushima Daiichi plant. So when you hear Fukushima fallout, that's actually Australian radioactive rocks. The accident actually started in the back of a big yellow truck in Kakadu and in northern South Australia. And that accident is a continuing environmental and human tragedy, and it changed everything. Last year, BHP Billiton issued a statement about their plans not to develop a planned $20 billion plus, planned, ticketed, approved, state and federal approval, expansion of the massive Olympic Dam mine in South Australia, with the headline, Fukushima changed everything. So you have BHP Billiton, the world's biggest miner, scrapping these plans because of the impact of the Fukushima disaster on uranium demand and prices. And you don't have to be a Rhodes Scholar or have done detailed economic analysis. Before Fukushima, it was $160 US a pound. Now, it is less than 30 US a pound. So this trend is reflected in the wider numbers and metrics of the industry. And as Richard said, the industry has faced increased licensing and regulatory cost, a decrease in social licence, an increase in public and community scepticism and opposition, and we're seeing that reflected globally. And so nuclear power's contribution to the energy mix has gone from 22% to 10% of global electricity, whereas in the last decade, renewables has gone from 10% to 24%. Their roles have reversed. Today, on planet Earth, renewable forms of energy, warming more showers, cooling more beers, turning on more lights, 2 times plus than nuclear power is. And it is the way of the future. That's not going to change. So here, for uranium, that means that domestic uranium operations are on hold, they're on extended care and maintenance, or they're well behind schedule. Prices, profits, employment numbers, all of these things have gone south. So uranium mining is still happening, and I don't want to act as if we just have to sit back and the market will decide and squeeze it out. The market is not based on logic. Bad decisions are routinely made, and this industry is still causing division, hardship and fueling risk, but it is constrained and it is shrinking. Now, despite all this, the sector continues to exercise a disproportionate amount of political influence. It's a sector that employs less than 1,000 people. Now, we are seeing vehicle building go, we are seeing fruit preserving go, we are seeing agricultural industries go, entire towns go, and no one blinks. But uranium mining in Canberra is sort of sacrosanct. It is linked to a dream of drill bits, of hard hats, and of almost like on the good day the Rex Connor buy back the farm idea, on a bad day this will keep us in the geopolitical table. It is quite extraordinary. Labor are compromised on uranium policy and the coalition are complicit in a race to the bottom. After Fukushima, the UN Secretary-General issued a report on Fukushima, what happened, what was done, and the steps that can be taken to ensure it is not likely to happen again. One of those was a clear recommendation that countries that mine uranium, including Australia, that fueled Fukushima, have a cost-benefit analysis of the impacts of the industry. Pretty modest. Labor didn't do it, refused under Martin Ferguson. The coalition refuses to do it. No, there has been no scrutiny of the sector, not one regulatory change to the sector, not one operating change to the sector at all. And instead what we have is a fast tracking against the advice of the Joint Standing Committee on Treaties, the multi-party treaty watchdog committee in federal parliament, for uranium sales to India, to the Ukraine, to the UAE. In all of these cases, since Fukushima, the Joint Standing Committee on Treaties has said no, not at this time, not on these terms, and yet the executive has just pushed ahead with doing it. We have the former head of a WA-based junior uranium hopeful, a small company, never mind, called Toro Energy, is the new chair of the Minerals Council of Australia. If you look at the Minerals Council of Australia, they profile 3 resources, 3 products on their homepage. They profile iron ore, they profile coal, and they profile uranium. Iron ore is worth $52 billion in export sales to Australia, $1 billion a week going out mainly through Port Hedland. Coal is worth $48 billion a year. Now we all know it's choking, contaminating, we want to get away from it. But there is no saying that it's a heavy hitter when it comes to money. So between iron ore and coal, you've got $100 billion in export earnings a year. And the third member of the family is the very poor cousin of yellowcake, which is $700 million. Extraordinary that it is given that level of political weighting. It gets a massive free kick from business and the business press, and not just the Murdoch press. And there is this constant chatter, as Richard said, that a solution to waste or a new generation of efficient reactors is just around the corner. Stay quiet, citizen, and trust us. So it's a little bit like democracy. The price of achieving a nuclear-free Australia is eternal vigilance, and that's why these meetings, these talks, our connections, keeping the issue on the radar is so important. I want to talk now about the second part of Australia's involvement in this trade, and that's the back end of the nuclear chain in the form of waste. Right now in Australia there are 2 separate threats in the one jurisdiction in relation to nuclear waste. There are plans for both international and national radioactive waste storage and disposal facilities, or dumps, in South Australia. The international idea came out of a move or an initiative by the Weatherall Labor government, who commissioned a royal commission with very pro-nuclear terms of reference, a very pro-nuclear advisory panel and commissioner, to explore options for economic activity in South Australia that could come from expanded nuclear activities. After a very arcane and quite elitist process, the Commission found that uranium mining, no. Uranium enrichment, no. Nuclear power, no. But there is money in muck. And it recommended that the government explore as fast as possible a move to import 1/3 of the world's high-level waste inventory, around 150,000-60,000 tonnes of high-level radioactive waste. Now this is material which, according to the Commission itself, needs to be effectively isolated from people and planet for a period of not less than 100,000 years. Now we're sitting in Sydney on land where there weren't white feet 250 years ago, 1/4 of 1,000 years. And this material that they wanted to bring in, ship, store and ultimately bury needs to be fully isolated from the environment and people for 100,000 years. Extraordinarily complex stuff. The process was not transparent, it was driven by industry true believers, it was based on rubbery economics. It was strongly pushed by the Weatherall government in 2015 and 16, but in the last 6 months, it's lost a lot of steam. There's no bipartisan federal political support. Federal Labor, to their credit, has stayed strong on a policy position of no import of international radioactive waste. There's no bipartisan state support. The State Liberal Party have sniffed the wind and have adopted, just in the last few months, a campaign called Dump the Dump J. There's no community support. There was a detailed citizens jury process, 350 people considering the issue, making a recommendation. It was very much steered towards continuing consideration, what they called the amber light option. Instead, against the run of play, 80% of that random selection of South Australians said not under any circumstances. 35,000 people have signed individual postcards to Premier Weatherall. Key trade unions, civil society groups, Indigenous groups, faith groups are lining up like planes over Sydney to say no. And then most important, I suppose, and it would be no surprise to you political veterans here, nothing focuses a politician's mind like the idea of a forthcoming election, and we're 10 months out from Labor seeking a 5th term. So they know it's unpopular, they know that the issue, like the waste, is toxic and it's just sunk under the radar. The threat has not gone away. The waste has not gone away, the issue hasn't gone away, the true believers haven't gone away, but it's lost a lot of momentum. The second issue that I'd just like to close on is the national radioactive waste. That's a really important issue right now. It's a really important issue in South Australia, but it has a very important and direct linkage to Sydney, because what's happening is that for 3 decades now, successive governments, Labor and Coalition in Canberra, have tried to approach the management of Australia's radioactive waste, our own domestic waste, mainly from the Lucas Heights operation and Stove facility in southern Sydney, by co-locating a facility in remote or regional Australia. You bury the low-level stuff, you store the higher-level stuff, intermediate long-lived waste, above ground, side by side, somewhere reasonably far away. Now that approach has never been tested, it's just been assumed and then progressed. But it's been worked for 30 years and it's resulted in multiple fights at multiple sites, mainly in that central corridor of a shifting caravan, South Australia, Northern Territory, and many people, Peter Wynne and others, played a really important role in the fight around Muckety, which some people might know, where a community near Tennant Creek said, no, you're not going to dump on any lands. Now we're on it again. There are 3 sites in the federal government's frame, one in the Flinders Ranges and 2 in the growing belt of the Eyre Peninsula in South Australia. Now all are contested, and if the feds pick one of those sites and then advance to move from a scoping study to an actual plan, we will be back onto a large-scale community fight, because those people don't want it. And our view as civil society groups is that we can't wish radioactive away. We can't wish radioactive waste away. We need to handle it openly, responsibly, and that means we can't have a process that's based on imposition of community, on a community, or the erosion, the resignation rather than the support of a community. So we're calling for the federal government to not rush this process, but rather to do what we've never done, and that is to have an objective, evidence-based, open, independent assessment of the full range of options. Because co-location in a remote or regional area is one option. It's only one, it's not necessarily the best, and the 30 years experience of not getting one started, which suggests that it's not the best. There's only one, and we've never had a fair income discussion, all options on the table. That's what we need. Now, to facilitate this, we are calling, civil society groups are calling, that the worst waste, the most serious waste, the low level needs to be isolated for 300 years. The intermediate needs to be isolated for 10,000 years. That's the stuff that counts. It's not the largest by volume, it is absolutely the largest by activity and threat. And most of it is at Ansto's facility at Lucas Heights. We believe that's the best place where it should be in the short to medium term, because there's assured site tenure, it avoids transportation risks, there are 12 to 1,300 people who turn up there every day, the highest concentration of nuclear expertise in Australia, the highest monitoring in Australia, the highest security of 24/7 federal police, the highest emergency response capacity. It's where the stuff was made, it's where it currently is. And the federal regulator has said that there's no regulatory or radiological constraint for it staying there for decades. So we say keep it there, on site, front of mind, best practice for those decades, not to do nothing, but to use that time to have what we've never had, a genuine assessment of the most responsible way to manage this material into the future. We think we've got a pretty strong case calling on the government to take the time to get things right, especially after decades of getting things so badly wrong. And we need an approach to management that takes a long view in the national interest, not driven by Ansto's interest. That has implications obviously for Sydney, and obviously as people who shape opinion in Sydney, that's something to consider and think about, but we think strongly it is the most prudent way forward. So I suppose in closing, I'd just say that this country, if it wasn't for civil society groups, for Aboriginal organisations and people, for people who have actually stood up to power and said, no, we want a different way, a better way, a more inclusive way, and a way that's more respectful for the future, this country would have many more abandoned and failed mine sites. We would have fuelled many more Fukushimas, and we would now be home to high-level global radioactive waste. The fact that we're not, or the fact that that footprint is much less than it is, isn't by accident. It's by hard and continuing work. So I thank you for your role in that. I thank the organisations that you've come from and represent for their role in that. And I also say, you know, that fight is live and continues. The curve is going our way, but that curve needs to be guarded, pushed, nurtured. We need to put a cap on a radioactive past and grow a renewable future. Thanks very much.